One of the most important jobs that you will have when you are a media specialist is weeding your collection. You should do this often. You should not wait till the end of the year or the beginning of the year. You should do it throughout the year. It's important to weed so that your collection stays current, attractive, and interesting to the students and staff of your school. So what's the purpose of weeding your library? By weeding, you keep your collection attractive, current, and relevant. Students know that the material in the library is something they can depend on to get them a good grade. Also, weeded libraries are non-cluttered. As you can see, we have a tight bookshelf right here. If a student comes to grab a book off this bookshelf, first of all, they're going to have a difficult time seeing what books we have. They literally have to pull them off. The problem with this is they're not going to take the time to put them back in where they belong. So sometimes they either throw them back up on the shelf or they find a section like this one where they can easily stick it in there. Later, when another student needs the book, they're unable to find it because it's in the wrong section. By weeding your library, you're also going to increase circulation. A lot of people believe if you get rid of books, the students won't have anything to check out. But it actually makes it easier for them to find books that they want to have. And also, if you have your collection weeded, you're able to see which areas need additional titles so that you'll know what to order later. You may ask, where do I begin when I start weeding my collection? Well, we like to follow the CREW method. The CREW method is 6 guidelines that you can use to help weed your collection. Always remember the acronym MUSTY. M stands for misleading information. You don't want to have books in your library that contains non-factual or misleading information. U is for ugly. Students aren't going to want to check out books that are ripped, torn, or have water damage, so it's best to get rid of those books and possibly order another copy. S is for superseded. If you have 2 different editions of a book, it may be best to get rid of the oldest edition. T stands for trivial. It's best not to have books that stand no purpose in the school library. I is for irrelevant. You don't want to have books that are irrelevant to the collection. Students need books that follow the standards that they are meant to learn. E stands for elsewhere. You may want to consider whether or not you need a book if it's easily found at the public library, online on the internet, or if it's easily downloadable onto a tablet. In addition to the MUSTY review, you should also consider the age of the collection and its usage. For instance, in section 520, which is space and astronomy, the suggested amount of time that you should keep a book is 5 years from its copyright date. You should also check the number of years since the last checkout, which is normally around 3. It's very important to remember that each section of the library has different standards, so make sure you follow the CREW method suggestions carefully. Don't ever assume that every section is the same. Some books are able to be kept longer because the information doesn't change that much. Some information needs to be changed a lot sooner than others. You can find the guidelines for the CREW method at the following website. The following slides give you information about most of the sections of the school library and their CREW guidelines for weeding. So what do you do when you begin to weed your book? First, you're going to go over to your collection system. You're going to scan your book, and then you're going to go to View History. You will look and see what the current history of checkout is for that book. As you'll see here, this book has not had a checkout history. So this would be a good book to weed because it is quite old and the students are not checking it out. Once you do that, you will go to Catalog, and then you will go to Update Copies, and then you will click Track as Weeded. You will scan your book, and the book has been weeded. You should then mark out the barcode and the school names from each area inside the book. So what should you do with your weeded items? You can either recycle them, you can give them to a hospital or a charitable organization, you can let teachers have them or students have them, but please beware that some districts have strict policies about reselling books. It is important that you make sure of your school's policy or your district's policy before you try to sell a book that was purchased with government or taxpayer funds. Finally, you could also destroy the book. It's important to remember not to weed classics like the Odyssey, and also don't weed books that have been award winners. Remember, our large collection serves little purpose if the collection is not used. Students are more likely to check out books that are attractive, easy to find and attain, and are interesting to the student's current interest.